I've got another confession to make. I'm your fool. Everyone's got the chance to love you.
Here we are, State Wars Hockey number 58. We're back. Tim McManus, Greg Thompson, State Wars Hockey. I feel like it's been an eternity since we've been on here. Even though I work with you every day, Greg, I always feel like it's exciting to see you in this format. What's going on this beautiful cold morning in New York?
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done a podcast, and we've been talking about it, and I'm happy we finally got to do it. But no, it's been really nice here. You know, fall's definitely in the air, a little crisp out there, especially early mornings. But I'm still wearing flip flops today.
Yeah, you're definitely a flip flop kind of guy. I don't even wear flip flops in the middle of the summer, so you're the guy wearing flip flops. Actually, funny flip flop story. Not even funny. I didn't tell you this. My cousin's husband, who lives in Texas, just a few days ago, he was in his backyard doing something with the animals and his kid or whatever, and he was wearing flip flops, and he got bit by a rattlesnake in his foot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the dangers of flip flops, I guess. You never know what's on the ground, and yeah, he got bit. Went to a hospital, and I guess the first hospital they went to didn't have the anti-venom serum, whatever they had to do. He had to go to another hospital, get that, and I think he had to stay over for a few days. His whole leg went numb and everything. So yeah, pretty crazy. I worry about raccoons in my backyard when I go to bring the garbages out. I couldn't imagine worrying about rattlesnakes in my yard.
Wow, he's lucky. He's doing all right.
Yeah, I think he's fine. I mean, I don't really speak to him much, but yeah, that's what I was told yesterday by my mom.
Jeez, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I guess I won't be wearing flip-flops when we go down to Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's been a while. I know a lot of people have been reaching out to us saying, hey, when the heck are you guys going to do a podcast? It's been a while. I know it seems like this podcast is everyone's favorite. I know it seems like everyone's got a podcast these days, but people look forward to the State Wars Hockey podcast for sure. You know, try to be informative, try to have, our ducks in a row and know what's going on in the sport. And so we're excited to get back at it. You know, we got a lot to talk about. Greg and I started talking this morning about, hey, we got to recap State Wars 18 a little bit. And we're like, holy cow, it feels like that was 6 months ago. It's hard to even remember divisions that we played in, let alone the whole tournament. So we're not going to spend hours going over and dissecting every single little play and division at that tournament. We're just going to talk about some of the highlights of it and some things that really stood out to us. It was a great event. It was great to be back in Taylor at the Sportsplex there. It's an awesome facility. It's a place that, we've been to a million times over the years. Tours was there a million times back in the day when Tony Tours ran it, and a World Championship was even there one year. And it's such a great place. The area around it is what it is. But the rinks themselves are great. The people there to work with are great. We were supposed to be there the first year of the pandemic, and it got canceled. And so it was great to finally be back there. I think from a staff perspective, Greg, you can't get any better for a building to be running the event at.
Yeah, no, everyone's so hands-on and so kind and nice there. And let's be honest, I mean, everywhere we go to, staffs are awesome to work with. I mean, we deal with some great partners, and let me tell you, people at Taylor, they go above and beyond just to help you out with little things. So love the partnership there with Taylor Sportsplex.
Yeah, they're great. And, going into it, I was a little worried, with the pandemic, the manager there Darren starts telling us, hey, trying to get staffed, how hard it is to get staffed these days and get people to work and do everything. So I was a little concerned, but it was great. They did a great job. And just the facility is great, just for watching games, the lobby for the sponsors and everything. It was a killer atmosphere the whole time. So I was real excited about that. And talk a little bit about the event, I guess let's start with Palmer Pro. I mean, that is kind of the biggest division of the tournament. I think, we started the Palmer Pro division in 2015. So after that many years, and I feel like I say this every year, so it may sound silly, but to me, that was hands down the strongest, most competitive, most exciting, best Palmer Pro Invitational we've ever had.
Yeah.
I think it was really, really good. A few years ago, you went into that tournament and it was, there were 3 or 4 teams you said had a legitimate chance to win it. And this year, I felt there were 8 or 9 teams that could have won it. And the playoffs started, and you were like, holy cow, like, who's gonna win this? Like, the first round, I remember, I think it was the Roadrunners playing against the Envious Wings guys, the Buffalo guys. And you were like, I think Buffalo might have beat them in the round robin. Like, this could be an upset right away. And is it really an upset? The way Brett Leggett was playing in goal at the time. So it was a tough division. And it just looks different than all the other tournaments to me. Like, you see the division and like everyone's wearing like certain uniforms. They look so perfect and they're matching. And you look on the bench and there's a million guys on the bench. Everyone's got 3 lines and all their top guys are there. No one's missing. And the level of play is just so intense. And then the end of it, to see the Palma Beta Golden Knights to finally win it, after all these years. It is the Palma Pro Invitational. I know Mike Nijar, they put so much into that tournament and he put so much into that team, and just seeing the look on his face and the players and the excitement after they won was pretty special.
Yeah. And we have so many great pictures from our photographers. Ross Detman shot a lot of the pro, well, actually all the pro division. And some of the pictures, he sent me thousands and thousands of pictures to weed through. And it's just remarkable what he came up with while he was there. But in particular, that win for Palma and just the looks on their faces and, the celebration and all that stuff. Tim, if you allow me to share a picture here, I just we posted it on our social media not too long ago. And it was actually part of our marketing tool for this podcast, but this picture kind of says it all, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the excitement, we were right above them. I see you and I think I think it's some of our staff and Mr. Mack up there, but we were right over there and I actually had goosebumps, and I was very happy for the Palma Beta Golden Knights to win, and just to watch them celebrate, it was pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it was, they beat us in, I guess it was the semifinal, right? And they took it to us pretty good. And, I actually picked them to win the tournament, if you remember, beforehand. We always talk about who's going to win, who's that, whatever. And they were my pick. They finished, I think, in second at Tours. They finished second at Narch. But the teams that had won Narch and Tours both had some borrowed players that I knew wouldn't be playing with them at this tournament. And Palma had their regular team. And they just seemed like, hey, these guys play a lot of hockey. They practice a lot during the year. A lot of them play beach hockey, or they play in all the California tournaments. And to me, they were just prime and ready to go. And they were my pick. And then when the tournament started, Carshield looked so strong. And then I was like, wow, could be Carshield. Like, these guys, because, the Snipers were struggling. Black Ice looked okay to me. Mars Blade looked good. Like, there was, you never knew, but Carshield looked a step above everyone early on. And then Black Ice knocked them out. And you were like, wow, there you go, Black Ice. You got to give Black Ice credit. They know how to win big games. Yep. Chinny came up huge, as he always does in a big game, in net. And, Jay Muro had his boys dialed in. And then they get to the championship with Palma. And at that point, it was a coin flip for me. Like, at that point, I'm like, you know what? After Black Ice beat Carshield, I started thinking maybe they could win this thing. And then I thought Palma seemed like the team of destiny. But then I knew Travis Noe was hurt. But then Billy Pascali was hurt. So arguably the 2 best players on each team were out, which kind of sucked for both those guys. Felt really bad especially for Travis. Felt really bad for Travis finally getting, a chance to win the Palma Pro. And he was hurt. I mean, Billy's won it a bunch of times, so I didn't feel as bad for Billy, but I felt bad for Billy, but not really for Travis. And just shows you how strong that team is. Even without Travis Noe, they were able to win. And Black Ice had that game early, Greg, if you remember. Watching that game, I think anyone in the building, if you could have done like a FanDuel bet, like mid-game of who's going to win, I think people would have swarmed all over Black Ice, myself included. They were dominating the game. And there was a penalty in the game that was kind of a game changer. And after that penalty, it changed the game. Palma scored on the power play, I think. And then the game changed and they got momentum back. And you could just feel it in the building change suddenly. And then when Etan scored that goal, it was unbelievable. And you look at his face and everyone, it really, just as an event organizer, it just made me feel really good of just how special it was and important for those guys to win, not just for Mike, but for themselves. It reminded me kind of when Rinkrat won that year, how they felt. So it was really special. And I agree with you. I felt really, felt some goosebumps, and I felt really happy for the Nijjar family, Rob Chernomid, and all the players and families. They earned it for sure.
Yeah, they did. And it's cool to see, we talked about it the year before, but, all the youth kids from the Illinois program, the Golden Knights program, all there in their jerseys going crazy. And I just love it. The excitement in the rink, the buzz around the facility, and just makes it so much cooler for the sport. Just seeing young kids with the jerseys on and just being so excited for the game. And what a game it was. I mean, if you told me at the end of the first period that Palma was going to win the game, I would have said, hell no. I just saw the frustration in the Golden Knights, demeanor and their eyes, and you could tell they were just getting frustrated because nothing was working offensively. They couldn't get any flow going. It was that one bounce that they had. I think Max Comtois buried that one, cut in, kind of bounced off a skate, I think, and trickled in, and that was the change they needed.
Great call by Rob Chernomid in that, because Max wasn't doing much in that game. He wasn't playing a ton, and then all of a sudden Rob threw him out in that situation. I'm sure a lot of people were wondering why, because they needed a goal big time. And then here it is, Shocker, guy that plays on the Anaheim Ducks, scores a big goal. But he came in there, and that was a huge goal. I think we had, some people commenting here, Scott Ives, our buddy from Jersey, talking about best hockey he's seen play. Dennis Jelsic, Andrew Otto, guys are chiming in about it. Will Fredo, who was in the score box, I think, for every pro game. So so they love the division. I think we had a couple thousand people watching that pro final online, if I recall the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers were great. And then the packed house there at Taylor. So it was a well-received game. And, all tournament long. I mean, that's what the Palma Pro is about. It could be game 2 of the tournament, and it's an awesome game. You could look at a round robin game at the Palma Pro and not know if it was a pro final, just how hard guys are playing. And sometimes what the crowds are like at those games. So just an amazing event, amazing division, proud to be a part of it. So let me ask you this, Greg, and put you on the spot here. Name a couple guys in the Palma Pro division that stood out to you besides the norm. Not, don't come back and say, oh, PJ DiMartino played amazing. Name a couple guys that maybe guys people don't know as much. Throw someone out there that stood out to you this tournament.
Well, I mean, you could tell.
Don't say Greg Thompson.
You could tell this guy was getting better and better over the years. But Adam Ernie, we've spoken about him, and he always showed signs of greatness on the rink, right? But
plays for the Red Wings, right? So
he got better and better over the years, and now he can actually play at the highest level in roller hockey. Like, not that he couldn't, but now he's dominating.
Mm-hmm.
He played spectacular, and he's a force. He's a force out there, and he can bury the puck. I mean, his skating's gotten so much better as well. But he was fun to watch for me and playing against him. But yeah, he's one guy that really stood out to me. And how about yourself?
Did he lead the tournament in scoring, Greg? I think he was.
Yeah,
right? He was the leading scorer, I believe, of the division. Adam Ernie. I mean, like you said, people at home that don't know, I mean, he's a legitimate player on the Detroit Red Wings. He's
pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't just a name out there. But to Greg's point, we've watched him play over years at the Winter Wars East tournament, where he would come out with his Connecticut buddies. Great guy, just one of the guys, and the guys all love him and obviously love having him. And, they always played in the single A division. And after a while, guys would start bitching, like, really, is a guy in the Red Wings playing in the single A? But he couldn't skate. Like,
skating wasn't the best. Yeah.
He couldn't skate well. He could shoot. Wouldn't want to block his shot, especially with that Stillmat puck. But but he could shoot the puck. Yeah, he had 18 points, Greg, in the round robin. The next closest guy had 9, Charlie Combs. So 18 points, 4 goals, and 14 assists, which is a big number there, right? I mean, you think he was a goal scorer.
Yep.
But yeah, his skating just got better and better. And it just showed you that if guys that are at that level put the time in, what they're going to be like in this division. And he kept working it. And now he's a legit, all-star in the Palma Pro division, which again, not a shock of being an NHLer, but seeing where he's come from over the last bunch of years, it's definitely pretty amazing to see how good he is, Greg?
Yeah, no, for sure. And another guy that we've seen over the last couple of years, first time at State Wars from the Czech Republic, Jacob Bernard. He played with the Lebeda Shakers, and he didn't really know a lot of the guys, I'm sure. And the North America game's a little different than, the European Czech style game. But just watching his skill set out there, I'm not sure if you caught any of his game, but
as Todd Melton used to say, he good.
He had some really, really nice plays and dangles out there, and just goes to show you, man, like roller hockey is awesome everywhere, all across the world, and he's a player and a half.
Yeah, he came up to me because we became friendly at World Championships. We got to know the Czech guys pretty good, and he came up to me and said, "Oh, unbelievable! Like the tournament, like he'd never seen me like it. Such a great guy. And sure we'll see him in Argentina in a couple of weeks, and we'll get on that later. But yeah, another great player there, and someone that stood out to me who will have the pleasure of coaching at Team USA this year for the first time. But I didn't know that well. I knew him, but I really didn't watch him that well. But on Palma, Kevin Mooney, really impressed me out there. Very strong player. And his brother Kyle plays defense on black ice. But Kevin was, for years there, I think they played with Conix back in the day. And he's been with Palma the last few years now. And really good forward, good two-way player. Going to be a welcome addition to Team USA. And I thought he stood out to me a lot out there. And
he scored some big goals.
Yeah. And who stood out to me too? And I mentioned his name before, so it's not a huge new name, but Blake Bennett, every time I watch him play, like with the Wings, he just scores goals. Like, I feel like he's always involved. He always stands out to me. He just impresses me every time I watch him play. Just not always surrounded with the strongest teams, and he goes out there and he scores goals.
And he's he plays with it like on an edge, and he's very fiery out there. And I love the intensity that he brings. Every goal is like a game winner for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean? Yeah, I thought he played really well. And I thought, even Charlie Combs, I mentioned him a second ago on our team this year, bringing back one of our guys. I thought he had that was like, I don't say his breakout tournament, but, he's always been in his brother's shadow a little bit, his younger brother on the team and everything. But I thought Charlie really stood out this tournament as well. His speed and he's got a scoring knack. And he was on for sure for us, which, we struggled at times, obviously. And he really was a standout, I thought, on our team.
Yeah, especially when we lost a couple of guys that one day for the Ice Hockey League.
Yeah, 3 Ice.
He's stepping up that game. He played a nice role and scored some big goals.
No, absolutely. So that was some of the players that stood out there that are a little different than the norm. But yeah, great division as always, Palma Pro. And let's move on, Greg, to a little bit about, we had our women's division, and then we had our girls, major and minor. We've been expanding on the girls divisions. I know you did a lot of work on those divisions, Greg. So I'm going to let you jump in here a little bit more about. Let's start with the girls.
Yeah, so the girls divisions really come together real nice. The first year we did it, let's stop there. Let's pause there for a sec. Years ago, we used to have a girls division, and they were always solid divisions. We had one division always, and it kind of fizzled out. We weren't getting a lot of teams signed up for it, so we didn't really have the divisions anymore. And then a couple of years back, we're like, let's get this girls division going again. I mean, we have some teams interested. And first year we were back, we had 4 teams, and then with one division. And this year we had 2 divisions. our girls major division had 5 teams, and our minor division had 6 teams. So going from 4 to 11 total, it's pretty good. You know, it's always nice having that international flair as well. The Cavs team was really good, and Namibia, obviously, they took it home in the minor division as well. So international girls, I mean, these girls can play.
Absolutely.
You know, I'd say a couple years from now, 5, 10, you know, they'll be at the World Championships winning gold medals in the women's division. You know, just such great talent out there in these countries, and Namibia, Africa, right? Like, you're like, oh wow, like how are they good at hockey? But yeah, they got a great system over there, and they have some girls that can really play. So really impressive to see. And one team that surprised me a little bit, I thought they'd actually win it, was that Slice Girls team. They had a lot of ice girls on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Cassie, led by Cassie Hall, who's, you know, she's been playing State Wars since she's a young girl, always playing with the boys. And this is the first
awesome.
first time she's actually played in the girls division at State Wars. And she was so dominant. And I think she was like the only girl who's ever played roller hockey on that team, if I'm not mistaken. I could be.
11 points in 4 round robin games. No biggie.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. And
Cassie Hall.
She's on the U.S. Girls team as well, so she's got some. She's gonna have some career ahead of her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was cool seeing the Palma girls. You know, they were from Canada, and they were really, really good in that minor division as well. Coached by Pablo Navarro and Danny LaRock. But yeah, I mean, there was some great talent out there, and just honestly, it was fun to watch that championship game between Namibia and Palma. Palma was up the whole game. Namibia called timeout, settled down, and scored some big goals at the end and won late. So,
that was a minor game, right?
Yeah, that was a minor game. Sorry,
yeah.
So
the Cavs won the major.
Yeah, Cavs won the major, and that was just a fun game to watch. And I was down in the score box announcing and stuff like that, and I loved it. It was awesome. So all good stuff. Great future for women's hockey, I think, and some really talented girls.
Yeah, you got to give your hats off to all those people you mentioned that get involved with those divisions, because those are the divisions that really need help with people, like organizing and, you know, getting girls and really putting the word out and helping and making it grow. And, you know, people that really put their actions behind their mouths. You know, there are a lot of people that talk a big game about women's hockey and girls hockey, and we need to do this, that, and the other thing, but they don't get their hands dirty. You know, those people you mentioned, guys like Milo and Pablo, Brian Sobel, you know, from the Bibby you mentioned, you know, and, you know, Ray Matz was there with Florida now. He went to Florida. His daughter's a pretty good player. You know, he was so into it. You know, he's got a daughter playing. You know, getting people like that behind it is really what helps it grow, not just, you know, talk is cheap, as they say, right?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, just great people involved with the girls game, and need more of it. You know, we need more people stepping up and helping out and get this division really going, for sure. So just some great hockey to watch, Tim, and proud to be a part of it. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Shane Clark says here, hopefully you guys can make a pro women's division next year. Well, we have our women's, you know, AAA, which is, you know, I don't understand why we need the whatever word we use for it, but it's our women's AAA division, and we had a money prize. You know, we put ourselves a $2,500 prize in it, and then Champion Wheels jumped in and they threw some money in the mix as well. So it was a nice prize for the girls. Yeah, so we had a top women's division, and let's talk a little about those guys, Greg, a little bit, no girls.
Yeah. So, you know, Black Ice ended up beating Palma in the championship game, which is another awesome game. I know they battled at Narch as well. And those teams really, really, not that they hate each other, but there's a lot of bad blood or on the rink, just really competitive games. And,
between who? Palma,
like the Black Ice group. Yeah, the girls who played over there. I don't think there's like bad blood, but you know, they're just really intense and competitive, and they just want to beat each other on the rink. You know,
they just more crazy rivals like that in the women's division than the men's. It's like,
yeah, probably. But yeah, Black Ice ended up taking the trophy home with a shutout, 2-0 game, and yeah, I mean some of the other teams were really good as well. You know, the Stars team was really good. They let me pull it up. I don't want to miss anything here, but there were some close games in the semifinal. Black Ice beat the Stars 3-0, and then obviously the Tor Roadrunners were always very good. Lost 3-0 to the Palma Labeta Golden Knights in the close game. But the Cavs team, you know, they were really shaking up the division a little bit. They played really well, and they lost to the Stars in that quarterfinal game. But some really good talent from the Cavs. I mean, like I said before, the international girls and women are getting really, really good, and I foresee them, you know, being really competitive in the World Championships in the next couple of years. But,
Yeah, you look at that championship game, and it was 0-0 at halftime, I believe.
Yep.
And then Tia Stoddard scored a goal for Black Ice, and then Ali Ira scored a late one at the end to kind of just put it to bed.
Sealed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and like you said, it was 2-0. And both goalies played great there. You know, Frankie Sanchez for Palma, always plays well. And then you had Michelle Russenbach for Black Ice,
MVP.
With a shutout there, 11 shots, 11 saves. So it was exciting. I love watching, the women's hockey. It's like watching, when you watch the women's ice hockey teams now play at, the Olympics or World Championships, whatever. The talent level of the women has gotten incredible. The speed, the skill, really fun to watch. And that game was pretty amazing.
Yeah. No, always a great division. And the Roadrunners are always right there. They just can't get over that hump, but I think they'll be there next year. We'll see. We'll see what the rosters look like.
We always start to get more interest from international teams too, which is great, for the women. And we'll talk to more teams when we're in Argentina about it. It was hard, this last year, you got to remember this crazy country with the inflation around the world, the gas prices and everything, flights were so much money. We had a bunch of international teams planning on coming that just couldn't afford it. Flights were, we see it now going to Argentina next week, flights were close to $2,000 a person. Yeah. So, if you don't have money, it's pretty pricey to come here for a week. So it was tough last summer, and hopefully it'll get better by next summer, and we'll get more of the international teams overall, and even more women's teams wanting to come, because we've had interest from some other countries for women, and it'll be great to see more of them come and just shake up that division even more.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. So many good international countries I'd like to see come. Years and years ago, we did have a team from Spain come, and
Catalonia.
Yeah, Catalonia. And the talent level was very good. But since then, the country's booming with women's hockey, and the skill set and the skill level is just remarkable right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them win, World Championship anytime soon. So I know they've won the junior girls before, but yeah, I could foresee them seeing the women winning the women's division as well.
Yeah, it was fun too. We had a Pride and Honor women's All-Star game that we timed it perfectly right before the Palma Pro final. So the building was packed. People were online watching. Had a lot of viewership for that game. We, Empire Sportwear, we made some uniforms for them, jerseys that we gave out to all the girls that got selected for it. And, we timed it so that game would be right before the pro final. So we had a lot of people watching the girls play, and it was a great game and some awesome talent playing there. It was great to see some of the best women play. And it was real exciting for those girls to be out there in front of a big crowd like that. So it was awesome to do that, and felt good watching that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, I was lucky enough to be on the bench for one of the teams. And Pablo Navarro was actually on the other one, Palma coach. But it was fun. I didn't really know what to think of it going into it. We scored pretty early, and I'm like, all right, like this is going to be a wide open game, a lot of goal scoring. I didn't know if the girls were going to get a little fancy or, right. I didn't know what we were going to do. But Yeah, I think our team ended up losing. It was a close game, either 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, something like that. But yeah, the girls were taking it serious and, obviously having fun with it, but they weren't really hot dogging at all. It was just more of like a game.
Wanting to win, yeah.
So, yeah. So
Pablo took it to you, Greg. Pablo,
yep.
big win over GT.
Yep.
We'll have to get him paybacks. We'll have to get all the paybacks in Argentina on him when we play them.
I guess I had some of his girls on, the Palma girls on my team. I didn't even realize.
Well, we mix it up, right? We always
mix it up a little bit, yeah. But I think at the end of the day, I think I had a couple more maybe. So he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go on this bench," and I was already over there. I'm like, just go over there.
Scott Ives said girls hockey players are easier to coach than boys. They listen, and I will agree with you there, Scotty, because I coach girls soccer, coaching girls basketball this season, and I will tell you that girls are easier to coach, and they definitely listen better than the boys. I'll be coaching boys ice hockey today, and I'll be yelling at them and threatening to shoot pucks at their ankles for not listening. So I'll agree with you on that, Scotty, that the girls do listen better for sure. All right, let's move on here. Keep it moving along. So that's the Palma Pro Division, women's, girls. International, right, Greg? It comes to mind right away when I think of State Wars 18. During the 3 years of the pandemic, it's been really tough to get teams to be able to travel to the U.S., whether being allowed to even, with stupid border rules and whatnot and vaccination rules and all this other crap. So we couldn't really get a lot of teams here. Canada was totally shut down for that time. So we had no Canadian teams at State Wars for 3 years, right? And we had Columbia was able to come 2 years ago, which was great. They got in. But other than that, we really didn't have our team. So we welcomed back Rob Shelton and his merry men, so to speak, from over the pond. Team United Kingdom were back. Brian Sobel with Team Namibia was back. And the Colombians were back again as well. And we had a couple teams from Sweden come out to play. Our buddy Nico from Sweden was there with they had a junior team and a men's team. And first time ever, Team Australia was at the tournament. And it was awesome having them. They had such a great time. And we've already spoken to Peter King, our director there, and their numbers are already increasing for next summer. They had such an amazing experience and can't wait to come back in even bigger and better fashion next summer. But let's just speak a little bit about just what it adds to the event when you have all these international teams. And then we had Alberta back and we had tons of teams from Ontario, which was great to see them.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the London Armory.
Yeah.
New group from London, Ontario. They had a full boat of teams and there was some really, really good players from that organization, that program. And they took home a lot of medals in the youth divisions at State Wars. But the Australians, I just think it's so cool when they come a couple days early and they train with some of the local pros and have a little training camp beforehand. I know in the past we've had teams from Korea come down early. I think there was another program as well come early and train with some local pro guys. But the Australians were lucky enough to have Tyler Spezia and from Mars Blade and pretty sure Brandon Hawkins from our team, the Mission Snipers, Mission Labeta Snipers, help do a little training camp for them. The event started. They loved it. Yeah. What's not to like? You're getting some high level talent teaching you the game. And
I think even Brandon and Tyler loved it, just working with those kids. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think that's the coolest thing ever. And they, the international teams always bring that international flavor and vibe to the facility, right? Mm-hmm. They take so much pride in where they come from and, the flags and the loud chants and, at 6 a.m. I'm looking over at the rink and they're international teams going crazy. Definitely wakes you up bright and early in the morning. But it's just so cool to see and so happy they could be part of, State Wars. And I know teams from all across North America really enjoy playing them and getting to know them and trading jerseys and doing all that fun stuff with them. So I know they had a good time and it's really awesome to see them at State Wars.
Yeah, Milo Davis, our photographer extraordinaire, he just commented that one of the girls from Aussie Ruse played on his TDQ girls team.
Yeah.
And Dennis Jelsic reminded us here of why we stopped doing all-star games way back when, because of coaches like him that allowed players to goof off too much. And I guess his goalie took a player stick and started skating around the rink and making it a little bit of a mockery. So we stopped doing All-Star games.
Yeah, that was one of the
years ago.
One of the reasons.
Yeah, I remember we started State Wars. We had All-Star games, the Pride Non All-Star game we used to do. And they were fun. We didn't have skills competitions, I don't think, back then. We had the All-Star games, and they were fun for sure. But yeah, too many people didn't take it serious, and there was always something going on, so we stopped doing those. But the girls, like you said, take it a little more serious. So it was great to have them play in that game. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about some teams that really were dominant at the tournament and really stood out to you. I'm going to give you first here. Name a team in a division that stood out to you and were pretty dominant in your eyes.
Well, there's multiple teams. I know we've discussed this.
Give me one, Greg. Start with one.
I'm gonna fire one off, and it's not necessarily one team. It's one program, and that's the Connex Red Bull.
Connex Bulls.
Connex Bulls, whatever they were called. Yeah. They played in the 04, they played in the 05, and they played in the 06.
They came, they conquered.
And absolutely they did. Talk about dominant. Those are the most dominant teams in the whole event, from my eyes, especially at the older age groups, right? Like you don't really see that often. Usually you'll see, especially in the youth divisions, you get one or two studs on a team and that team's dominant.
Yeah, the younger kids, yeah.
But at that level, at the highest level in their birth years, those Bulls teams, I'd like to go back and look at their plus minus and their total points. I think they won every game, and every game was really convincing, like wins.
Greg, I know their 06 team, which was the most dominant.
Yeah.
They were plus 32 through their 4-round robin games. So every game was a mercy.
So they were probably around plus 100 for all their teams, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and they mercied the Snipers 9-1 in the championship in 06. So when you mercy a team in the final, it kind of says something, right?
Yeah.
They get a bunch of kids that are on the U.S. development team program in ice hockey, and they love roller, which is great to see. The Jan Varias, the Dakota Rayon Mullins, the, Matthew Manias, there's so many of them that are just so dominant. And, they have a good time out there. A little cocky, obviously, which is, to be expected. Michigan players kind of were always like that at that age. I remember way back, even back in the 90s, playing some of the top Michigan teams. They always had that swagger about them, which is just, it's great. It is what it is,
So, right?
And they back it up, and it's just great to see that they still come back to roller and they love it, and they're dominant. I can imagine how dominant they are on the ice, but they're very dominant on the wheels. And you're right, they dominate all those divisions that they played. So good call there. I'm going to jump in on a team that I thought was pretty dominant. You could say an organization as well, too, in the younger divisions, and that's the Illinois Palmer Beta Golden Knights. How dominant they are in like the 2010 and 2009 divisions, especially stand out to me. The 2010s were plus 29 through the round robin, and the 09s were plus 27 through the round robin. The 2010s won the championship 8-4 over the Border Cats, and the 2009s won the championship over the Snipers. But Dan Costanza has done an amazing job with those teams. You kind of see the same kids every year coming back with those age groups. And the 2010s and 09s really stand out to me as pretty awesome groups.
Yeah. No, those, that whole program is phenomenal. And it's great seeing Dan Costanza get those ice kids over to the wheels. But the 09s and the 10s, they've been pretty dominant for a long time. And each year I think they have gold in probably the last 3-4 years for those teams. So, pretty dominant, I would say.
It was a pretty dominant team too, Greg, that Northern Blades team in 2008 AAA.
Yeah.
They won the final 8-2 over the Border Cats, but that was a good team, really like their uniforms. And they really stood out to me as a pretty awesome team. The Ontario teams that always traditionally at State Wars brought some really strong groups coming out when they get, that ice roller kid as well coming out. And You know, it's funny. I was having a conversation with someone at State Wars. I forgot who it was. And wherever they lived, they would talk, I was trying to get some kids. I couldn't do it. You know, it's hard to get everybody to come to Michigan or whatever. And I was like, dude, we have teams from Namibia, Africa here. I don't want to hear that you couldn't get teams within the United States to the tournament. You know, hint, hint, Scotty Ives. I know you were listening. But
it's funny. I see Milo chiming in. I guess this is the way to communicate with him.
Yeah, you can't get a hold of the guy, but he's on here. Same thing with Jelsic.
Yeah, right.
Tyler Kraft heard the word dominant teams, and always he spits out PA 95. So I'll give Crafty that. That still goes down as the most dominant team in the history of State Wars. But I would have loved to have seen the 05s of Connex Bulls play the 95s of PA. That would have been a good match.
Oh man, yeah.
That would have been something to watch. But yeah, so guys like Scotty Ives that lives in Jersey or PA or wherever you are in this country watching, if you can't get 8 or 9 teams to State Wars this summer in Fort Wayne, but Brian Sobel can get 7 or 8 teams from Namibia, Africa, or Peter King can get 8 teams from Australia to get there, then I don't want to hear it, bro. You know, come on. It's put a little work in, get them to the best tournament of the year. State Wars is going to be banging this summer in Indiana, so we want to get everybody there. But that's some of the most dominant teams for me. And a couple games that really stood out, Greg. That 2012 AAA final between the PA Rink Rat Vipers and the Mission Snipers, New York.
Mm-hmm.
That team, that was a great game. That's a rivalry, man. We'll see them at Winter Wars in March. They always battle it out. And that little, is it Brody Grill? Is it on the Vipers? That kid is something to watch for the PA team. And Vipers won the championship 8-5 over the Snipers. And that was just some talented hockey. To me, that was like a mini Palmer Pro watching those kids play. There'll be future Palmer Pro guys on those teams watching them play. That was something to watch. And that 8U average Joel's team from Michigan, Dave Zubin's 8U triple A team, that team really, they were pretty dominant. And I really enjoyed watching that 6-and under Maven Sting team from San Diego, California. They had some really good players out there, and the way they played the game, you know, they wound up beating IRHL in the championship, I believe. Watching that game was pretty intense for a while, and great game there as well. And the last one was in that 2011 division. Both the Connex Flames and NorCal were really good teams.
That was a great game
and an awesome game. And NorCal wound up winning at 3-2 in the championship, and that's going to be a rivalry for a while. I love nothing better for me with State Wars when I see like a team from California battling a team from Michigan, or I see a team from, you know, Ontario battling a team from, you know, Florida or something like teams that never see each other. I love that aspect, you know, even within the country. And that's the kind of thing you see at State Wars. Like, where else you can look at your round robin and see, hey, we're playing Australia, we're playing Colombia, we're playing Wisconsin, we're playing, you know, Illinois, and I'm from California, you know, it's awesome. And that's what gets you excited. I know even with my own kids going to soccer tournaments a lot, when we see teams on the schedule that we never see, the kids get so pumped, and so do the parents. So that's really what State Wars brings. That's so awesome, is getting to play teams that you never see, you know, and you may not see them again until next summer at State Wars. Yeah,
it's so true. And over the years, I've seen a lot of rivalries shake up, you know, throughout every division. You know, you always see these battles, and it's pretty cool to see them evolve over the years, right? As they get a little older. But let's talk about the 600 division again, Tim. You know, let's talk about the size of that and how we split those divisions up.
Mm-hmm.
I know you were the main basis of this.
Yeah, so 6U, real excited that we had 12 teams in 600 this summer, which the norm in 6U over the years has been 5-6 teams tops. So we had 12 teams play this summer, which is just like, wow, you know, because you always worry about the future of the sport. People always want to be down on the sport. What's going on in roller hockey? Is it dying? Is it this or it's that? We had 12 freaking 6U teams, you know? So it was amazing. And what we did this year for the first time ever is we were able to split it into a higher and a lower division, which is not easy. You know, you're trying to figure it out, but it's so great for those kids, because now those kids that probably would have got mercied every game were playing really good games in the lower division. And the upper teams were challenged a little bit more. So, yeah, it was great to see. And then you had teams like, that Maven Sting team that I mentioned, they're playing, Dan Costanza's team, the Illinois team. They could play them in the round robin. You had the Snipers had 2 teams, but their upper team was really good. The Rink Rat Junior Vipers, the Gremlins, Detroit Border Cats, Average Joels, all had 6U teams in the upper. And every game is a good game, and that's what you want to have happen. And then in the 6U division, we had an Ontario team. We had the Average Joels, Snipers again, Knights again. And then we had a Florida team, the Junior LeBeta Blood and Feathers, which is great to see. And, Tyler Kraft, I mentioned him earlier, now he's running the Stadium rink down in Fort Myers, Florida. Luckily, that rink didn't get washed away with everything else. Our thoughts are still with everyone down in Fort Myers, all the devastation they had down there. But Tyler is going to be doing a great job. And, he's going to, I don't think there's many guys that are playing in the pro division right now who have more love for State Wars as a kid, than Tyler Kraft did. His dad, Andrew, used to have me on the phone for hours every day leading up to State Wars, those final couple of weeks, dissecting the division. He was so into it. It was awesome. And he loved it. And Tyler as well. And I really want Tyler to really help build that in Florida. And, he's the guy to do it. He's a great player. He's great with the kids, plays for Team USA. People love him. He loves the sport. And, he's really going to help out down there in Florida, get things going again. I think he's the right guy to do that in Florida. And here's a little something I'm going to share on the screen too, right here. Pretty excited for this, Greg, where we announced, we're getting back to tryouts this year, getting back to the State Wars jerseys that everyone's been missing for the last 3 years. And there's the Florida jersey on point right there. Tyler Kraft's teams will be wearing that jersey. Patty Maroon's number on there, playing for the Lightning. Love the look of the new jerseys, Greg. And I know a lot of people are excited to get back to representing in the uniform that way. There's nothing like it. There's a reason why when State Wars started in 2005, took the world by storm in the sport and just dominated it, and got to keep growing it. And that was a big part of it. Here's the new State Wars pants this summer too. Custom paint, all the players will be wearing in the youth divisions as well. Went with a white look, Greg, a little look that way to kind of match all different colors for everybody. But definitely excited to get back to the uniforms.
Yeah, it's funny. People, over the last year or two, hey, you guys ever getting back to state tryouts? And obviously we would have loved to a little sooner, but COVID really affected it,
Mm-hmm.
And then we were going back and forth with, should we go back to tryouts, or is this the way we do it, from now on? The way we've been doing it the last 2 years with club teams registering and stuff like that. But, over the years, what made State Wars so special was that state, provincial, pride and trying out for your state. And it's just a different environment and atmosphere, and just so much better.
Yep.
It really is. And
the kids love getting that jersey. They love seeing what's jersey look like this year, and getting that fresh jersey and putting it on and trading it sometimes, and just the specialness of it. Right. I'm excited. Can't wait to get back to it. I had someone email me yesterday, yes, State Wars is back. Listen, it was amazing the last 3 years. We got through it, and, Norwich does an amazing job. Tours does an amazing job. We're partners with those guys in the sport. They do a great job, but, we always want to be different, unique. And, everyone likes what they like. But to me, this is what makes State Wars so special, is that uniform. The adults can still wear their own custom uniforms. We don't make the adults wear it, but the kids will wear those, every kid in the tournament. And it's just a great look. So excited for that for sure. And let's talk for a second about State Wars 19. So we're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, July 18th to the 31st. We love the Sport One Ice House out there. 3 sheets. They're all NHL size. They're air conditioned. They're all side by side. They've have an awesome sports bar restaurant that oversees all the rinks that, all the parents love. They can sit up there and watch from above. And the referees like that, Greg, because now they're enclosed above. They don't have to listen to them up in the sports bar. and they added another wing down the one side of ring 3 for that sports bar.
Yeah,
It
it's gonna be a little
continues now.
different.
Yeah, I know that last time we were there, they had started it, but now that's complete. And what I love about Fort Wayne, Greg, is you hear Fort Wayne. I remember the first time you and I went there way back, and we were like, "What the heck are we doing going to Fort Wayne?" And we flew there. We're driving from the airport, and we're like, "Holy cow! Like, where are we going?"
Literally cows.
Yeah, it was, and that place just since 2013, how it's developed in 9-10 years. It's amazing. Like every time we've gone back, there's more restaurants, more hotels, more this, more that. There's even internet there now. Like there's so much there. And
I'll trust you that.
But we love it. And honestly, something we have to consider for our customers, Greg, is youth sports are expensive. People are spending a lot of money. I know firsthand, having 3 kids playing sports. They're so expensive. Hockey is ridiculous. Ice hockey, there are people out there spending money they don't have on ice hockey. And it's a shame how expensive ice hockey's gotten. It's really become like a rich person's sport.
Oh, yeah.
And these ice programs just milk people for money left and right. So when it comes to roller, they don't even have any money left. So we really have to choose locations that are not too pricey. And in the middle of the country, in the Midwest, it's a little cheaper area for people to be at, whether you're in Missouri or Michigan or Indiana. And hotels are less money. Flights are generally less money. Rental cars are less money. Going out to dinner is less money than if you were in New York or California or on the coasts or somewhere in big cities. And that's just something we have to consider. So, and then being easily accessible, getting there, like middle of the country, it's not too long of a flight for anyone inside the US or Canada. A lot of people can drive, which helps save some money. This year we also went to 3-day blocks. We've always done a 4-day block, which, I still prefer because it allows us to spread out the schedule a little bit more. But I know a lot of parents have felt that, hey, it's expensive and, another night in the hotel and it may just be one game in a day and blah, blah, blah. So, I did my best with the block schedule this year to limit it all to 3 days for all the youth divisions. So now people could be there one less day and there'll be a lot of hockey in a short period of time. So hopefully that helps people with a little less expensive being at State Wars. So we really want to get more and more kids at State Wars experiencing it. And I think Indiana this summer is going to be a really kick-ass tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on everything for next year for Fort Wayne. Love some of the restaurants there. I mean, I know a lot of people don't do fine dining and stuff like that, but there's some nice little sit-down places where you can go to. Great food, great little area, right near the ballpark. Even near the rink, there's a couple of really good restaurants, outside the rink. But yeah, I mean, the atmosphere there is always nice, it's always fun, and I'm excited to see what they did on that far rink. I know they have locker rooms over there and stuff like that. So, yeah, that should be pretty exciting to see.
What I love about Fort Wayne personally is when you stay downtown, which a lot of the adult teams especially do, you can just walk around and there's plenty of bars and restaurants walking distance from the hotels or a quick Uber ride right there. So you don't have to necessarily be out, driving and stuff like that, going far, which if the guys are going out having a good time is a factor and stuff. I really like that with the downtown. I like the ballpark right there. It's a minor league ball team right there for those that don't know. I think my cousin Jarrett's got season tickets to those guys.
Him and Brian.
Yeah. So it's great. Go to the minor league game. It's fireworks going off at night and cheap tickets, and they let the kids run around the bases. I mean, my daughters went one time. They run around the bases after a game, and for the teams that go, they put their names up on the scoreboard there and everything. So it's really fun going to those games and stuff. And they got a zoo right there. They got a lot of other stuff for the kids. So it's I just love the area. It's been a great event for us every time we've been in Indiana. So looking forward to going back to the Fort this summer.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Team USA. We got an exciting trip coming up, Greg, in what's today's date? The 21st. So we're leaving in 9 days for Argentina. For those who don't know, we're going to the World Skate Games, which happens every 2 years. And it's for all sports on wheels. So roller hockey is one of many sports that go on there. You know, they have figure skating and speed skating and all different kind of crazy stuff that I can never imagine doing going on there. So I think the junior men's and the senior women should be starting
a couple days,
maybe tomorrow, probably. Yeah. I think they're starting. And then the junior women and the senior men are after. So we were in 2019 in Barcelona was the last time this event took place. Then with COVID, it got canceled and pushed back. So now 2022 is the next one. So we won it in Barcelona over the Czechs, which was exciting, Greg. And we were just in Alabama, as everyone knows, this summer at the World Games, which was a little different. That's more related with the Olympics and not. This is the World Skate Games, which is just a skating event. Not World Games, was all sports trying to get into the Olympics. I know it gets confusing, but honored again to be named coaches for the team, Greg. And it's going to be exciting. You know, we had our roster. For those that know, it's totally different than we had in Alabama. We only have 4 returning players from that we just had in Alabama. So we have 8 new skaters and 2 new goalies, you know, with 2 events being the same year, with the event taking place during ice season, with the expense of it all, with players trying to get off from work and whatnot. A lot of players couldn't participate. So it's opened the door for a lot of new guys, which I'm excited for them. Yeah. I'm excited to coach some new players and young guys that are excited and really looking forward to it. A lot of first timers, Greg, and it's going to be exciting. So we're leaving on October 30th and we start playing on November 1st, and should be exciting for Team USA.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see. Well, first off, I haven't been to Argentina yet, so I'm excited to get to Argentina. Mm-hmm. But I'm excited for the team. You know, like you said, a lot of young, hungry guys. I think it's really going to shake it up, and it's going to be a different look for our team, I think. I think we'll play a different style as well. But I think with some of the veteran guys coming back, with Tyler Kraft, Billy Pascali, Joey DiMartino, who had a taste in Alabama, and then our captain, Nathan Sigmund, I think those guys could really lead the charge for the new guys who are on the team. And I'm just excited to see how we're going to adapt to every team that we play, because it's going to be a different style every game, I think. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's going to be tough. You know, it's funny, like players get reputations, right? And names and most of it deserving, but you never know, guys. And now you have to bring in some new guys that weren't part of that original group. And we may come out of this going, holy cow, that guy's better than that guy. You know, we don't even know. Like, you don't know what you're getting with guys. So I'm excited just to really work with some new players. You know, you mentioned the 4 returners. I think we had 2 great goalies with Clay Taylor, who plays for Palma, just won the Palma Pro Invitational. And you got Keith Johnson from New York, Tour Roadrunners goalie. Clay's from Arizona. So I think it starts there, Greg, right? It starts with goaltending. We've always had great goaltending on Team USA, and I think we're not missing a beat there. I think we have 2 great goalies. Yeah,
I agree. And that it's the most important position, I think, personally. So it starts from the back end, and I definitely think we have the team to go very far. Sorry.
The doorbell, Greg.
Yeah. Oh. Weird. But
the milkman coming, Greg. Is that the milkman here? Who's here? Let's see. I'll check the ring here. Keep talking, Greg. I'm going to check the ring.
Getting your paper delivered. But yeah, no, our forwards are very strong. Our defense is very strong, and our goaltending is very strong. So I think we're going to be pretty good. But I just, it all depends on how the guys adapt to one another. And, we have to get a good system going early.
Joe Simpson ordered a couple of Philly's cheesesteaks. He had them delivered to the house there, Greg.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I always hear about the place he works at, but I haven't tasted anything yet.
And Joe mentioned, when am I ever going to get to ref State Wars? I think I've asked him to ref about 8 times in the last year or 2 that he's turned us down, right, Greg? He couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He had to work here, he had to work there. Yep. So after a while, you stop asking, don't you, Greg?
The poor Joe. One day, Joe. One day. Yeah, so no, back to the Team USA stuff. I'm excited to see what the junior team's going to have to offer there. I know Adrian Wisniewski, his dad's on here right now, chiming in. They're excited for the event. First timers go to the Worlds, and I know there's a couple real good players, young players. Jay Stambro from Iowa, who played at State War since he was a kid. Andrew Siegel from New York, one of the goalies for the team. And yeah, I'm excited to hear, and hopefully we could watch from home, how the junior men do there. Women's, that team's going to be strong as always. I think, from what I'm hearing, this team might be really, really good this summer. Well, this fall in Argentina. But it's all about chemistry. You just never know going into these things. You could have the best team on paper, but it's all about chemistry, and you just hope that the teams gel early on, off the rink, on the rink, and it plays a huge part into the team success. So it's all about gelling.
Yeah, I think what people at home, and we've touched on this before, Greg, what people don't recognize is everyone thinks that, oh, it's just so easy, right? USA is going to win. Oh, USA, right? And you and I talked the other day. We just watched that Redeem Team special on Netflix really about the 08 basketball team with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and whatnot. If you haven't watched it on Netflix, check it out.
Yeah,
definitely
really
for us getting ready to go to World Championships is a good thing to watch. But just talks about how, you just assume USA is going to win, and these other countries are pretty darn good. And in that show, just like in our life, the advantages that other countries have that we don't are pretty big. And the big advantages that other countries have is a lot of them play together all the time. They practice a lot. They play the sport year round, a lot of countries, and the players on the teams have a lot of funding, and they practice a ton before this tournament. So we'll get there, and actually we're hoping we get a practice in the men's team where everyone gets a practice, but the World Skate Games and whatnot screwed up the scheduling, and they messed up our schedule and had us start in a day earlier than we were supposed to, and the schedule had to get changed and yada, yada, yada. But long story short, our practice got eliminated, so we have to figure out how to get that back. But in reality, we get one practice together before the tournament, and you're bringing guys together, hoping they mix. And to Greg's point, you're hoping the chemistry is there. And that's the one thing that Team USA, I've coached this team now. This will be the fourth time I've coached. And every time I've coached, we've had great chemistry. We've done a good job of selecting the team and building great chemistry with guys that know each other a little bit. Yeah. This team's a little bit of a juggernaut. I don't really know. We have a lot of players from a lot of different parts of the country, different teams. So we got to see what that cohesiveness is going to be like. And we got to test out lines. Like, I have lines in my head already, but not as concrete as I had in the past with other teams I've coached. So we got to really tinker with some stuff. And these other countries don't have that. They play together a lot, and it's a huge advantage. And kind of like in that Netflix special, Greg, they talked about how the rules are different in that. Remember, Greg, in that special? Yeah. They talked about how in the basketball World Championships, they play, the ball's a little different, and how certain rules in the game are different. And it's the same thing at World Championships. We're playing at a smaller rink, smaller nets. The puck could be different than we're used to. The flooring could be different than we're used to. They call the game a little stricter with penalties and whatnot. The referees are call the game pretty tight. And I think of soccer sometimes, how they could call the game. Yeah. So it's a lot of adjusting for guys that are used to playing the way we play here. And those other countries play year round with those rules and the way that they call the games, and on those size rinks a lot, with those size nets a lot. So it's a huge advantage they have going into it. So it's a lot to win. And that's why I'm so proud of the fact that I'm 3 for 3, 3 gold medals so far.
Oh, no biggie, right?
No big.
There we go.
Where's my medals? Should I get them? No. And I want to keep that rolling because it's not as easy as people think. And that Czech team is just one of many, but that team is awesome. That's our biggest rival every year. We played them in the final in Barcelona. We played them in the final at the World Games. We beat them in the quarterfinals in Slovakia. That's a really tough team, and I'm sure they're going to be bringing it this year because not as many guys play ice hockey on that team as our team. So they may be bringing almost the same team as we've seen before. And it's been a battle every time, and we beat them in overtime in Alabama. So I'm looking forward to a tough challenge. And as you know, Greg, the French and the Italians and the Slovaks and some of these other countries are pretty darn good too.
Yeah, Spain, Switzerland. I mean, all these teams can hang. And no, I'm excited for our group here. It's going to be different, but I think we have some really, really good young talent that could, it's going to be a different game. It's going to be a way different game than we've had in the past. But I think we could benefit in different parts of the game, right? Like we'll have a lot more. I'm not going to say a lot more speed, but we'll be a fast team. We'll have smart players. I just think overall we'll be all right. We'll hopefully get the kinks out early and start rolling. But I think we'll be good.
Yeah, no, excited for the challenge, right? Always, right? You're always excited for it.
I'm sure definitely the guys are as well.
And out of the group, trying to see here. I mean, there's multiple guys first time ever, Greg. So I'm always excited for those guys, right? First time wearing the red, white, and blue and being a part of it. I'm excited for the junior players and any of the women or girls players, the junior women's that are playing. And a lot of the junior teams, I would assume, is the first time. Mm-hmm. So real excited. I'm disappointed we're not going to get to see the women's play or the junior men. Last time in Barcelona, we got there to watch a junior team play in the championship, which we won't get to this year. And the women's played the same time as us, so we got to watch them and root for them, which was great. So, but we'll get to see the junior women, which our friends Alex Morrison and Charlotte Nicholson are coaching. So it's going to be great to get to hang with them a little bit there and root them on. And excited, and hopefully we'll get to see some of our other friends before they leave. Hopefully they're going to stick around a little bit. That's Argentina coming up in another week or so. So I'm not sure if they're live streaming or not. I know a lot of people are asking. I saw some people said no online. I'm not sure if they know that's true or not. I'm hoping they are. And once we get that information, we'll put it out there. And as always, on the State Wars Instagram and Facebook pages, I'll do daily updates about how the team's doing and whatnot, and keep everybody updated what's going on. So best I can.
Cool. Yeah. Hopefully they'll be live streaming. They did last time. So
yeah. I'm not sure if it was every game or just certain. I don't remember what they did, but yeah, remember we went back and we watched some of the games ourselves to make some improvements and stuff on our team. We practiced. So yeah. So I'm going to say that they are going to live stream. So I'm hoping they will. And we'll get that information out when we get it. But that's Argentina. World Skate Games coming up. Junior men start on Monday, and we wish them luck and wish the women luck as well. Dave Marmonstein, coach of the women, and the junior men, our buddies Dan Maxwell and Anthony Violante, coaching for the first time. So I'm sure Dan and Vio are going to do a great job. Yeah.
I'm interested to see how they're going to do. A lot of those, like you said, younger kids haven't really played international yet. So it's going to be eye-opening, I think, for them.
And also how the coaches, the chemistry, right? Like Vio and Dan, like they've never worked together before, right? So you think like you and I obviously work together, and those guys used to being head coaches of their own teams, and now they're coaching together on that junior men. So how are those guys going to work together? It's always a question, right? So I definitely feel very strongly they'll do a great job together because I know them both pretty well. But you never know, right? So not only players, but how coaches, mesh.
Yeah, everyone has different systems and philosophies, and see what happens. I'm sure good things.
So Alex Parisi chimed in here. No Eric Gomes on Team USA, Greg?
No, not this year. Not this year. Hopefully, maybe next year Eric will get the nod.
I think we were going to ask him, but he didn't want to miss 2 Thursday night hockey games at Rapid Fire. So it was a deal breaker. So
yeah, he said he couldn't afford it. He had to buy a couple pairs of Jordans that were going on sale today. So yeah, maybe next pod we'll get Alex on, Greg, and we'll talk about all the strict rules and stuff of the alumni tournament and some of the questions people are asking us about the rules of who could play for what team and stuff there. So we'll get into that next podcast with Alex, maybe if he's available. Oh, Alex.
What
Yeah,
about long time sniper back in the day, Greg? Roller Dragon, great goalie actually. Surprised he's not on the pro circuit yet. I definitely think he's good enough.
well,
I
we were
actually,
gonna ask.
yeah, I threw his name out to a couple people asking. So Alex
We,
Parisi,
we were gonna ask him one year, I think, to back up Redmond when JP wasn't too sure if he was gonna go or not, and he actually ghosted me. Did not
Oh,
even
really?
write me back. Yeah. So I think
he's a little scared.
yeah, I think he's scared.
One of the best smiles in the game right there, Alex Parisi. He's a charmer.
He's
So love Alex. We saw him in Nashville at the Nasty Cup. So good segue into that, Greg. We just finished the Nasty Cup in Nashville. There were no hurricanes this year, no tornadoes, no rainstorms to report. It was actually gorgeous weather. We moved the tournament up a couple months earlier, had it earlier there at the Hendersonville Rinks in Tennessee. It was great. And
awesome. Great weather.
Oh, you couldn't ask for better weather. It's amazing. Like when you're outside the rinks, Greg, people that don't know, they're covered, but the sides are open. So when you're outside the covering, it's about 20 degrees hotter than when you're under the roof. Like how cooler it gets under there. It's like a wind tunnel. But, brand new Stillmat floors down there. And we're going to talk about Stillmat. Greg's hat showing it right there. One of our main sponsors, Stillmat. Stillmat floor, Stillmat puck, adult tournament, great hockey. Great time down in Nashville. We had way too many drinks, I think, downtown. Had a lot of fun. And I really think that event now is going to grow and grow. I think there were a couple people this year, Greg, they were worried about the bad weather they heard the first year. But now people are hearing about this one. And I think it's going to take off as the adult tournament to do in the fall. If you got the time off to come out to Nashville for a few days, it was a great weekend. And I'm already looking forward to next year. Love Nashville.
Yeah, there were a lot of first timers to Nashville, guys I know, stuff like that. And they had a ball. They had a blast there on and off the rink. You have a great setup in a hockey facility, right? Beautiful weather, sun's beaming, just an awesome place. And then outside the rink, lots to do in Nashville. And a lot of teams had some late nights from what I hear, and some fun times and great memories. So just an excellent, awesome tournament, and everyone always has a blast there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had 35s, 45s, senior A, senior AA. Hockey was great. Competition was great. Really loved it. And, big shout out to Champion Wheels, Chris Farrar. They set up there the whole time. And I know LaBeta had a little makeshift booth set up there. And so that was great to see there. Again, just a great weekend, and hopefully get more people out there next year, just knowing how fun it is. There's a lot of options and tournaments to go to, but I think that's one to mark on the calendar if you're an adult player and just want to have some fun and play some great hockey. The Nasty Cup for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think that really wraps it up, Greg. Let's
talk Stillmat quick, Tim. I know you're, obviously they're a big sponsor of ours. You're their guy here in the States, North America. Where's Stillmat now? I mean, it's I feel like it's everywhere.
Yes, let's talk Stillmat. So it's a conversation I love talking about. It's a product I really believe in. So Stillmat is based out of Czech Republic, and I met the guys at World Championships years back, and I love the floor from World Championships, the surface, this tile, and talking to the players, everyone kept saying, I don't know what this tile is, but it's the best I've ever skated on. So we started talking, and back in 2000, I think it was 20, I got them to be a sponsor of State Wars, and we worked out a deal to get a floor in for State Wars. And we loved the floor so much, so we invested in 2 more to have 3 there. And they had never had a floor in the United States before, and they've been around 21 years, I think. So after State Wars, it turns into, hey, everybody wants to know, what's this floor you guys are using? It's amazing. So I started repping for them here in the U.S., and right now, in just 2 short years, we have Stillmat floors in Colorado at the Xfinity Arena. We have 2 in Hendersonville. We have 2 at Veta in Missouri. We have 1 in Missouri at All-American. We have 1 in Missouri at Queenie Park. We just installed 2 at the Marple Sports Arena in PA, which I'm sure Scotty Ives could jump in and talk about the feedback that they've gotten there. We put 2 in at the Silver Creek in San Jose. We have 2 on the way to Irvine in California, for those who don't know, which is going to be amazing when those are in there. We just put 1 in at Rapid Fire, which those that have played at Rapid Fire know, I mean, they've needed a new floor. I worked at Rapid Fire in 2003, and we needed a new floor then. So it's taken a while, but they actually ripped up the floor. Surprisingly, Jimmy Hoffa was not buried under the floor at Rapid Fire like I thought he was. But they got that floor up. They put the new one up. Greg, you've been skating on it. You've heard the feedback personally. And it's in the works to go into a couple new rinks too. I'm working on right now in other parts of the country, Florida, Pennsylvania, Jersey. I think in 5 years, every roller hockey facility in the country will have still mat down. And when you combine that puck with that surface, I don't care what anyone tells me, there's nothing like it. It's a game changer in the sport. I've said it before on here. And until you do it and play with it, it's there's nothing like it.
Yeah, did you mention Barney's in Arizona as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. Barney's in Arizona too has one. That's right.
Yeah.
Forgot about them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I played on it for the first time last Wednesday, and there was a couple. There was a men's league game going on, another division.
Rapid Fire, this is.
For our game, yeah, Rapid Fire. And even those guys, the skill level wasn't great, but they even loved the puck. They love the floor. They love the puck. They love the combo. And then there were some guys who never skated on stone mat or even used the puck in our game. Some guys on my team, and they came off the first shift. They're like, "Oh my god! Like this is ridiculous. This is awesome. I feel like I'm on the ice. Like it's just so smooth, so fast, and the puck actually moves now at Rapid Fire. You're not skating in mud anymore or passing a puck over speed bumps. Guys are loving it. So it's great. It's just great to see. And finally the day has come that Rapid Fire has a new floor. It's awesome.
Yeah. And what the real big thing for me is, and listen, just full disclosure, I'm part owners on 3 Mataflex floors I have in storage that I could use at any time. Like I've used other floors. This floor is just better. It just is. I don't know what scientifically is done differently to make it better, but there's just certain things that are better in life than others. But it is a faster, grippier floor. And the puck, listen, I think the Rocket puck is great. I think IDS pucks are great. Don't get me wrong. I think they're all great. I played in a league last night at Skate Safe. They still have Sport Court down. They're going to get Still Mat 2 in the future, and they're using the IDS puck. It worked great. It's no problem.
Yeah.
But the puck's a little better on that surface. On other surfaces, it could be slower or whatever. On the Still Mat floor, it's made for that surface, and it's a little heavier. So you feel it on your stick a little bit better. That's the first thing. So you can pick your head up even more. Like sometimes the other pucks are so light, it's hard to even feel them. It doesn't roll up when you make a move as much. When you shoot it, you can control it better. Goalies even like it because they can control the puck better on their where they're putting the puck on rebounds and whatnot. They feel it more. You could whip in a pass, Greg, so hard on that puck and it stays down. You can sauce a puck for a one-timer and it stays down. It's the closest thing to playing on ice hockey. And I know that there are guys that never played ice hockey that just aren't used to the weight difference. And granted, I had it here. A Rocket puck, for instance, weighs 3.6 ounces and the Still Mat puck weighs 4.3 ounces. So there's not much of a difference in weight there. An ice puck is, I think, 6 ounces. So it's not heavy like that. But like me, I play a lot of ice hockey. I'm used to that puck. So to me, it's a world of difference having a little heavier puck. Yep. And, I know there are guys out there. Listen, if you use the same puck for 20 years, it's going to feel different. And you may not like it at first. But if you give it a chance, I promise you, give it a little chance. That combination is, again, a game changer. And when I talk to the Travis Snows and the PJ DiMartinos and the Kyle Kramers and the Matt Whites and the Brandon Hawkins and the Tyler Spezias and the guys I consider the best players in roller hockey, and they come to me and say, holy cow, that surface, that puck together, game changer, then I know we got something. So just give it a chance. Hopefully your rink by you has it. If they don't, hopefully they'll wake up and get one. And
Give us a call.
What's that? Yeah, give us a call.
Give us a call.
Now we want to see. I just want to see the sport elevated at a higher level. It's all across Europe. They have still mat floors and pucks. World championships generally have that. It's just a way to go, and I hope to see more and more people playing it because it just makes the game faster and better, and that's what we want to see for the sport.
Totally. Was that a paid sponsorship ad for Stillmat, Tim?
Yeah, well, you got the hat on, not me.
I'm getting paid.
Hey, Johnny Mac's in the house. Johnny Mac Sr. He was at State Wars this summer, right? It was great seeing Mr. Mac there.
Who's he talking to when he says good to see you, bud? Is it me or you?
I don't know. I think he sees you more often than he sees me. So I think he was talking to me.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, but Mr. Mac, I think Mr. Mac watched. I think the only person who saw more pro games than Mr. Mac was maybe Wilfredo and Evan, scorekeeping. So I've been talking to Mr. Mac, maybe getting him as part of the State Wars staff a little bit in the future. So maybe we might see Mr. Mac a little bit more at tournaments. You know, we need a guy to get down to those lower scores on the boards, write him in for us there. So no, Mr. Mac, one of our favorites in the sport, loves the game, man. Right? He came out there, and he was even impressed with the level. You know, his son Johnny obviously was one of the best players back in the day in the sport, and I think he was amazed even at watching the level of play of the Palmer Pro Division. Just you know, it's like when Wayne Gretzky watches, you know, NHL games now, talking about the speed and stuff, and you see how far the game has come as someone that's been around for a while, like you, Greg, right? You've played in the Pro Division for a long, long time. I mean, how fast is that game out there now that you remember from when you were first starting out? I mean, think about it.
Tim, when I first started playing pro back in the early 2000s, I think I was the fast guy. I was a fast young kid. I mean, I could skate a lot better than I do now, obviously, but I was actually fast. You know, I was one of the faster ones. But now, oh my God, it's just remarkable. Like you said, it's like the NHL, right? Compare, you know, it's a young, fast kids game, and it's really fun to watch and be part of.
Don't tell me that Gordie Howe was better than Sidney Crosby. I don't want to hear it. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, you watch guys today and the level of play of these guys, it's just ridiculous, right? Yeah. It's just, they're so fast. I watched the Colorado Avalanche play. And I think Trefty's ears just perked up right now, wherever he is. They're so fast. Guys like Nathan McKinnon, Cal McCarr, and Connor McDavid, the speed of these guys, it's just, I don't know how you get that fast. It's just incredible how fast these guys are.
Yeah, and the guys that aren't even as good as them, there's guys in the league that are crazy fast too.
Oh yeah,
like
Matt Barzell,
third liners, or you know, even not even the high profile guys who are just so skillful and fast.
Yeah,
crazy.
So I think with the Stillmat floor, you know, you feel a little faster on it. Someone made a joke that even Joey Galicchio was faster on it. I said the same thing. I feel like it's like a fountain of youth. Like, you go out there in the old man's division and you feel faster out there. You know, it's just, the referees have said it too. It's like they don't feel the same pain in their knees and their feet on it. Like, it just, you roll faster on it, you know, where sometimes surfaces can get a little where you feel like you're standing around. This one, it's quicker. And I feel, you know, just a little more jump in it, which is like you feel on ice, right? So we'll get some people on here that have skated on it, that owners of rinks. You know, Anthony Flynn told me already at Marple, Jay Muro at Rapid Fire, the Silver Creek rink. I said they just bought a second one out in San Jose. The feedback's been so great. And hopefully the Canadian teams rinks up there, they'll start getting some up there too. You know, it's just such a great floor. So yeah, that's all for the Stillmat shameless plug, but it's the way to go, and excited to be partners with them. So let us know if you have any questions about that. And you know, thank you to all our sponsors this summer. I'll just throw that out real quick there. We have some awesome sponsors at State Wars. You know, most of them are at the event. You know, Mission Bauer, Tour Hockey, Mars Blade, the Beta Wheels, Rink Rat Wheels, Connex Wheels, Champion Wheels, Warrior, Empire Sportwear, Tovi, Car Shield, Stillmat again, And I don't think I'm leaving anyone out of our major sponsors there. Oh, Top Shelf Targets. And if I forgot anyone, I don't think I did, but I apologize. It's been a while, but we have some great sponsors, Greg. Pretty much anyone that's anyone in the sport is part of State Wars. They know how special the event is, and we're always blessed to have great partners because we know they could choose anyone. We're just happy that they choose us.
Tim, before we leave, I wanted to get your input on the Mars Blade onesies. We never discussed it at all. What'd you think?
Well, I walked into the locker room after their first game wearing them, and the whole team was sitting around in them. And I walked in, I just shook my head a little bit, and a couple of guys started laughing when they saw me walk in. And Joe was talking to the boys, and I just said, guys, next time if you're going to wear these, he's got to wear one too on the bench. And they all just started cracking up. Hey, I mean, I'm not a fan of it personally to wear that. I think if I had to walk in the room and tell Matt White and Chris Terry and, Matt Cannoni or Kyle Kramer wearing that onesie, I think they would have told me to go take a walk. So I give Joe credit that he's got that power over those guys to wear that. But hey, to his credit, it was the talk of the tournament, which I think was the goal of that. To bring attention. I always bring it back to the old tuxedo jerseys with Mission wore back in Cincinnati in 2004 at Narch.
Yeah, that was Joe too, right?
Yeah, and they didn't. I don't know if they even won a game that year, but everyone was talking about Team Mission in the Pro Division because of that jersey. So I told them that I'm not a fan of the hoods. I think that's a little dangerous out on a hockey rink, so they may have to go hoodless next time. But yeah, it was fun. Joe's an innovator, obviously, and it was pretty cool. And kids were talking about it. I'm sure if you polled all the kids their favorite jersey in the Pro Division, that would probably win. Yeah. So that says something for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, it got people talking, right? That's the number one goal for a brand and company. Mm-hmm. And people talking Mars Blade, right? So good for them.
Mars Blade made a big name for themselves during the pandemic. When people couldn't play ice hockey, everyone's skating on their wheels outside and stuff. A lot of these, the ice pros all were skating on Mars Blades, rolling around town and stuff. So they really picked up a lot of steam there. Now they got Austin Matthews behind them and whatnot. So they've really done well with themselves, Mars Blade. So it's become a household name for sure. And, Joe Cook's a good friend, obviously, big supporter of State Wars. And he's been with us since day one, right? I still remember 2004 meeting Joe and Sean Riley with Mission at a diner and talking about State Wars and inking the deal of them becoming one of our first sponsors of State Wars. And that year before 2005 we started. And Joe's been with me since. Same with Chad Siebel with Tour since day one. And same with LeBeta has been with us since day one as well. So Rob Tournament. So, talk about loyalty and brand support. There it is right there.
Cool stuff. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, it's really it. I think people are asking, they miss this podcast. Maybe we'll get back to next week. It's going to be tough with Argentina coming up. I think we'll plan for another podcast as soon as we get back from Argentina. Hopefully we'll do a recap with a couple of gold medals around on next. But regardless, we'll come back, recap that event and talk a little bit about it. And, maybe we'll start getting some interaction. A lot of guys that chiming in. Well, maybe let them start asking some questions through the chat or some people they want to see us have on here or talk about. But thank you for everybody for watching and listening. And, always a great time being on the SWH podcast, something we started during the pandemic, right? To make time go by. And it's amazing. This is the 58th episode.
Yeah. We've been on a lull for a long time. I think the last one we did was like last year, October, maybe.
You don't look a day older, Greg, since the last time we did it.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, here we go. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon. State Wars Hockey Podcast, number 58, closing out.
I've got another confession to make. I'm your fool. Everyone's got the change.